All right, let's continue on. So same idea, 95% is to the right of Z now. So if 95% of the area is going to be to the right, we're probably looking definitely to the left. Okay, so it's definitely going to be a negative Z-score because we're going to have a huge area being to the right. So I'm going to look to see where that value is. So same idea as before, we're going to be looking for a number in my chart. Now, if you recall, your table only gives you area to the left. So let's work a little backwards here. If I have 95% to the right, how much would then be to the left? Well, that would be 0.05. So this is the number we're going to look for in the table. So what value is the closest to 0.05? Okay, so like I said, it's definitely going to be negative. So let's keep this up over here. So I see we're very close here and here. Now, if I'm thinking about the proximity to 0.05, oh, I'm sorry, not looking at that one. We're looking at this one and this one. Okay, one slightly over, one is slightly under. Now, if we're thinking about which one is the closest, if we do a little subtraction, we're going to see that this one is actually, in fact, closest. So what Z-score does that correspond to? So we have a negative 0.16 and a 4. Okay, great. So that Z-score would be a negative 1.64. And you can see my estimate was off. I thought it was going to be a little beyond -2. It wasn't. It was really more so like over here somewhere. But that's okay. We have the drawing just to help us give an idea of where that's going to be, left or right of the mean. 72% is to the right of the Z. So once again, because you have this value over 50% to the right, that means that it's going to be somewhere on the left. Okay, so once again, we're looking at a negative Z-score. That 0.72 is going to be to the right. So let's do a little subtraction again. So I need to know what this area is actually going to be. So 1 minus 0.72 gives me 0.28. So I'm looking in my chart for an area that is closest to 0.28. 0.28, it's going to be down closer to the bottom. 0.28. Keep looking here. All right, well, I see we're getting closer. I see this number here, this number here. So I'm going to do a little subtraction and see which one is in fact closest. Okay, so this first one, if I get rid of that second circle, this one is in fact a little bit closer than the other one, so we're going to go with this number. So what does that correspond to? That's negative 0.5, and then it's in the 0.08 column. So that Z-score is negative 0.58. Now let's say you have a Z-score that is in the middle between, okay? So find the value so that 68% of the area is in the middle between two Z-scores. So we're going to have a symmetric middle, okay? So if we have 68% total, let's think about this. All right, because it's helpful to think in terms of how the curve looks. So you have 68% in the middle. If I do 1 minus 0.68, that's going to give me what's left over in each of my tails. Okay, so 1 minus 0.68 gives me 0.32. So that means there's 32% left to split between the two tails on either side. If I divide that by 2 to see how much goes in each one, I would get 0.16. So that means there's 0.16 in this tail and 0.16 in this tail. Now, why did I do that? So keep in mind, you have symmetric curve here, which means if you have 68% in the middle, whatever your Z-score is here is going to have the same digits as the one on the right. One will be negative, the one on the left, and the one on the right will be positive. But your chart only tells you area to the left. So that's where this 0.16 is helpful, because now knowing this 0.16, it can help me find this Z-score. And once I know one, I just make it positive to tell me what the other one is. So let's look for 0.16 in my chart. 0.16. Okay. 6, I see one over at the end there. Okay, so I see 0.16 here. And I see this one's close, but once again, I want to do a little bit of subtraction and see which one is closer. So 0.16. Okay, this is about 1/1000th away. Let's say this one is actually slightly closer, which is negative 0.99, and this one is so close at -1. Okay, so remember, your chart is an estimate. It doesn't give you a fully exact value. Oh, I don't want to write with my highlighter. Okay. So there, I would say this one is just slightly closer. So negative 0.99 and positive 0.99. Those are your two values because it's asking for one on the left, one on the right. All right, let's try another one. Okay. So the area in the two tails is 20%. Okay, and you have the same area in each tail. So I'm just going to give a little estimate here. The area total is 20%. If I take that 20% and divide it by 2, I get 10% in each tail. So 10% here and 10% here. So I'm going to look in my chart for an area that's closest to 0.10. So 0.10, let's take a look. This one is close. This one is close. I think this one is going to be closest. It's very, very small difference away. But I'm going to do that subtraction just in case. Okay, actually, yep, I was right. This one is definitely the closest. So what does that correspond to? Negative 1.2 and an 8. Negative 1.28 and a positive 1.28. Okay, here are just some other ways that you can look at this notation-wise. Okay, so what's the probability that your particular z-score, okay, or the area under that curve to the right of your z-score is 0.2556. So we're looking to the right, okay, greater than. And this is the one that you're looking for, okay? This is the one that you're trying to find. Okay, so if the area to the right is under 0.5, that means I know it's going to be somewhere over on the right-hand side. So that's your z. That's the one we're looking for. And this area, 0.2556. That 0.2556 is to the right. Remember, your chart only looks to the left. So let's do a little complement finding here. What do I get? I get 0.7444. So this is the number that we're going to be looking for in your chart. Okay? So 0.7444. Let's see, which is closest? Okay, I see 0.74215, 0.74537. So let's see which one's closest. Okay, so the one on the right, this one is the closest. The difference between that number and the area that we want is the smallest. So 0.66 is going to be that z-score. Okay, and we have one more. So now you're looking at the area in between two z-scores is 0.75. Okay, so that means 0.75 in the middle Thinking about that, if I take 1 minus 0.75, I get 0.25. That means there's 0.25 in total in my two tails. Divide that by 2, I get 0.125 in either tail. And that 0.125 in my chart. Now I'm going to go back to my negative side. 0.125, maybe down towards the bottom. 0.129, 127. Ooh, this is definitely the winner right here. 0.12507. So that's a negative 1.1, and let's figure out what that 100th digit is going to be, 5. So negative 1.15, and then it's going to be the same thing on the other side because they are symmetric. So those are my two z-scores. As we go throughout the next section of the chapter, you're going to be taking a closer look at how you can use your calculator to find these same pieces of information, but you are always welcome to come back and use the chart if you find that it is more comfortable for you.